Good morning, good morning, good morning, good Saturday morning. How are you guys doing? I am still trying to get up, you guys, but you know what? It's okay. The time is changing tomorrow, so don't forget to set your clocks back. So you will be losing an hour of sleep. However, today we're going to circle back, um, almost how we were almost going to do it like a playback, but I'm going to do a little twist. And we're going to talk about courage again today. So let me know who's watching. I know it's early. I know we have some people that grind early in the morning or just start their day off, right? So, good morning, good morning, good morning. So, don't forget if you want to make comments, you have to like the page or like the link up at the top so that we can add you to here, okay? We can add you to here. So, let me see, let me get my banners up. So, yes, this is your girl, Dr. T, and this is Coffee with Me every Saturday morning. And the reason why I created this is because this is a time where my best friend, who's basically my sister, we get together and on Saturday mornings and we just chop it up. We talk about our week. We, Oh my gosh, we talk about our week, we talk about our ups and our downs, our highs and our lows, and it's just a way for us to connect. So, and this is a way for me to connect with you guys so that you can see how I work as a life coach and a sustainable business coach. Yes, we will talk business. However, it's not always about business. Sometimes you may have to um, skirt around some of the, you may have to skirt around some of the business issues, especially when things in life come up. When things in life come up. So, when we talk about that, sometimes when things in life come up, we lose faith and we lose our vision, or things may get blurred for a little bit, or we may even think that, you know what, I can't do this. So you give up on yourself. And what I don't want to happen is I don't want that to happen with you, whatever it is with your business or with your family or with school, however that is, don't give up on yourself. So this is why I was saying that there's something about being courageous. So just, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I started my business 22 years ago, and I had the courage enough to say, I can do this. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that fear never set in, right? But this is why you need a coach. This is why you need somebody to come in, or even a friend. This is why I did Coffee with Dr. T, because although my best friend, she's a social worker in New York. She's with a crisis team in New York. And, although she may not be in business, she's my sounding board. And so sometimes you might need that sounding board, but hear me out. You need a sounding board that's going to just be that. You don't want somebody that's going to judge you at all ends and at all sides. Now, you do want somebody to kind of reel you in if you're going to, I always say falling off that cliff. That's why, it's important for you to understand that. And again, this is Mental Health Awareness Month as well. Of course, this is, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So make sure you get that breast cancer check done if you're in that age. And I believe today is Halloween, so I probably won't have a lot of people watching this morning because a lot of y'all went to them Halloween parties. But I think it's important for you guys to understand the importance of just being courageous and what that looks like. Okay. So I'm reminded that I know for me that, I get grounded in the word. And it wasn't until here lately that I really, really, you know, am grounded in the word. But I just want you to listen to this, because sometimes I find sometimes we can find ourselves similar to some of the stories in the Bible, right? If you're, a very heavy into your faith, and Deuteronomy 6:31, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Now, I was reminded of that just last Saturday, because I had an event that I had to do for church, our annual Harvest Fest. And I was really, really nervous, you guys. I was fearful that no one would show up. And then I sat down and did the numbers. We had a lot of people show up. So I say that to say, sometimes we get in our own way and we lose our own way to becoming who we want to be. Okay. So let me know who's watching. Say, hey, Dr. T, say, hey, good morning. And, at this point, go get your coffee, because this is a conversation. That's how I want to develop it. That it's a conversation, with all of us, that we're going to, say, hey. Right? Come on in the conversation. Don't think that you can never have that conversation. Again, if you are feeling anxiety or feeling some type of way right now, make sure you speak with somebody. If you want to just message me as well, just say, hey, Dr. T, do the same. Okay. So let's talk about courage. Let me see. So we're going to talk about the art of courage. And I think I wanted it to be a little bigger. So let's see how we can do this. Great. So we're talking about the art of courage. And it's really important for you guys to look at this. And if you can't see below, it says everyday bravery for meaningful life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I may do it in two parts because I know everybody has to go. So everyday bravery. So you see how it says every day. So being courageous is not just this fly by night or this this whole thing that I have to do, right? And this is why I also say, if you look up above, it says, you have to chip away at it. It's not something that you're going to get each and every time, right? And I'll give you an example. I didn't want to come on. I tell you the guys this all the time. I'm not that person that comes on and want to be in the forefront. That's not me. And I don't think it'll ever be me. However, I think that it's important to understand that, but you still have to in some way be courageous and be brave enough to say that, to understand that, right? Then the other part of that is that, how you'll see actors, you'll see politicians, you'll see all these people that are in the forefront. You think that they were never afraid? Do you think that these people were never ever afraid? You must be you are mistaken. You are surely mistaken. If all of these CEOs and big companies, do you think that they weren't afraid to jump out there? I would even go and look at the history of Ford Motor Company. This guy, I think there was a movie, I watched it, it was amazing. People did not believe in him. You are going to have to understand that it is okay, and you're just going to have to be brave. So listen, courage is the most important of all those virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. And this is by Maya Angelou. So courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. And I'll post this up a little bit later in another slide. So yeah, and so if you look at this picture, I may even try again to, even if you look at the picture, looking at this picture, the sweater is over the head, but it's in a moment where they're taking off and getting ready to be brave, right? Getting ready to be brave. And then behind it are mountains. Sometimes you just got to tackle those mountains, right? Right? You have to tackle those mountains. So that's what that is. So why should you master the art of courage? Why should you do it? Why should you even think about being courageous? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some tips on how you can chip away at bravery. How are you going to be able to do that? So here are some tips. You ready? So part 1, gaining control. Oh my gosh, don't y'all know that, as women, we, and men, I'm not going to deny that, that we sometimes are just doing too much, right? We're doing too much. And you need to be able to gain control, gain some type of semblance of control, okay? Gain control. So if you are listening to this, don't forget to say hey, don't forget to say good morning, right? So yeah, we will do this in some parts. So I want you to gain control today, because I think it's important. So you want to gain control, okay? Gain control, because when you're so far out there, that's when your anxieties come in. That's when those negative things come out because you don't have control. Okay, so gain some control. So how do you do that? How do you deal with uncertainty? We are living in a time where, oh my gosh, everything is uncertain. We have the pandemic coming, we have the pandemic. We have just so much going on. So one of the things that we talked about is, having gratitude and focus on the good. Okay, having gratitude and focus on the good. So have a gratitude journal or write somewhere what your gratitude, what you are thankful for, right? Because if you're listening to the sound of my voice, that is not because of my voice, but because you have the ability to listen. If you can see this, you have your vision. If if you're up this morning, you're still breathing. If you turned on that computer to go on Facebook or any social media, you're still touching things. You're still here. You're still present. Right? So that's gratitude. And you want to be able to do that when there is times of uncertainty, because sometimes, we're looking at the news. We have so much that's gone on this week, things are just popping off everywhere, and you just want to be sure that you have, some type of gratitude, right? And then focus on something that's good. Focus on the good. And it's like, oh, Dr. T, why am I focusing on the good? Really? Sis, I can't. There's just so much going on. Yeah, you can. I need you to center yourself. And I just need you to focus on the good. It's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that it is easy. But I need you to. I need you to focus on the good. If you've gotten bad news this week, I need you to focus on the good. I know sometimes people think, Dr. T, you are absolutely crazy, because I try to change a negative almost every time into a positive. And I think I spoke about this before. If you remember back in school, two negatives equal a positive. But anyway, that may not be how life goes, right? It may not be how life goes, right? You can't have two negatives and turn into a positive. But maybe somebody has some story and wants to share that with us today, that it actually can happen, right? So if you like this, share this message. Please share this message, because I just want to give a glimmer of hope to somebody today or this week as they're in their journey. Maybe they've gotten some bad news this week. Maybe, something happened bad this week in your lives, or things are just not turning around for you, especially in this pandemic season. It will. It will. So, and then you focus on the good. We talked about that. Now, here's the one I want you to see. I may change this slide a little bit, but number 2, be the captain of your own ship. Be the captain of your own ship. So we talked about first, getting rid of uncertainty, right? Now we want to talk about that. Tip number 2 is be the captain of your own ship. Tip number 1 was focus on the good and focus on being thankful, right? Focus on the good and focus on being thankful. So be the captain of your own ship. What does that mean? Who can tell me what that means? Or what does that thought process come to you? Be the captain of your own ship. So for me, what I wrote here is still be brave, be you, and and the third, be fulfilled. What makes you happy? Sometimes we go through life and making other people happy. Sometimes you have to step back and make yourself happy. And if you'll see this week, I'll probably post some stuff about that. It's okay to make yourself happy. It's okay to be in your own space, because sometimes you need that. But make sure that you're not secluding yourself from others in that space. You might be in that space for a minute of trying to revamp you, trying to be the captain of your ship, trying to figure out where you're going to port next, where you're going to sail next, where you are going to, or even stepping back and say, what am I going to name that ship? So it's a process. And as Joel Embiid always says, trust the process, right? So what are you doing? So tip number 2 is, be the captain of your own ship. Be the captain of your own destiny. Now, I'm not saying just be absorbed in yourself. Don't do that, because that's a whole nother talk. However, you want to take control. You want to be able to steer it the way that you want to steer it. And be mindful of where you're steering it to. You don't want to steer it where you're going to crash and burn, right? But you want to be able to steer it in a way that it's positive for you. Okay? It's positive for you. Yeah, so here's the next one. You ready? So tip number 3 should be, I think we're missing one. Tip number 3 should be, think about worst case scenarios. So I don't even think we could think about worst case scenarios, because I think for some, we're in the worst case scenario right now, right? We have been in the worst case scenario. This, for some, this is the worst case scenario, right? And but as you are trying to be courageous and trying to come out of some negativity, trying to get over some stuff, right? And wanting to challenge yourself and get through some mountains, think of worst case scenarios. And you know what? It's funny, because sometimes, people, when you're complaining all the time, what do people say? especially, I don't know, I can only say in the African American community, but what do people say? It could be worse, right? It could be worse. So, think of that. It could be worse, right? So, think of the worst case scenario. That's how you're going to chip away at your fears. I think I might be missing a slide. No, so I have to redo my slide because that should be number 3. So, I'll go into part 2 because we have a little bit of time. So, part 1, if we go back, part 1, we talked about gaining control. So part 1 was gaining control. Part 2 would be letting go, relinquishing power to increase your trust. So relinquishing power to increase trust. So let it go. There's just some things that you don't have any control over. There are some things that you do not have control over. Let me say that again. There are some things that you don't have control over. Let it go. That's it. It's as easy as pie, right? It's easy as pie. Let it go. Relinquishing power to increase trust. And I like that because when you have negativity in your life, and then when you are in that space where you are in that negative space for a long time, you are feeding it power, you are giving it power, and we don't want it to have any power, right? Because as I was reminded this week also of me being nervous, right? Me me being nervous. Fear is not something that you want to be in also, right? Right. Fear is not what you want to be in. And so when we talk about that, we want to be sure that you relinquish, right? And when you relinquish, you will definitely have some freedom. And that's where that comes in at. You definitely have some freedom. So don't be fearful. Okay? Don't be fearful. And let it go. There's just some things you just need to just let go. And I'm in that moment because I want you to really see that. Then the other thing is, in letting go, it might require you to seek help. It might require you to seek help in that letting go process. So don't be afraid to seek help. So if you have a sustainable life coach like myself, if you want to talk, or there's some other places out here like hotlines, or seek therapy, or go to your pastor. I just wrote my paper for pastoral care class, and that was one of the things that I realized that within the African American community, and I'm not sure because I can only say for my own community, is that I think the pastor is almost as close to, or minister is almost as close to being a medical doctor, because a lot of times we're seeking guidance from them. And it's hard, for people to think about mental illness, or think about, trying to seek therapy in this time. I can't say it enough, that seek help. Even like I said, I created Coffee with Dr. T, you know, because it was a chance for my best friend and I to talk and just unwind and get the things off of our chest. So also the art of courage is understanding that you might need help, and don't be afraid to get the help that you need. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you know somebody, or you need to reach out to somebody, make sure that you do that. because it is so, so crucial and so, so important to understand that. And that's also important in your own life. You know, I too had to, during this corona season, to say, hey, I need to talk to somebody. I need to see therapy, seek a therapist, because I wanted to be sure that I wasn't losing myself. I wasn't losing myself in this. So if this is adding some value for you today, put V for value. Share this with somebody today, you know, because I think it's important. It's important. Turn mistakes into lessons is another thing. Turn mistakes into lessons is the next one. And a lot of times we beat ourselves up over mistakes, right? We beat ourselves up because we made a mistake. So when I say turn mistakes into lessons, I want you to, one, acknowledge the mistakes, right? These are the things. Ask the hard questions. Was it a mistake or wasn't it? But then if it was, acknowledge that it was a mistake and forgive and move forward. Forgive and move forward. So this coffee with Dr. T is a little heavy today, but you know what? It's good. I love it. It's good because I want to encourage you today. I want you to be encouraged, right? So it is good. So it's okay if you made a mistake. It is. We hone in so much on so much negativity, and we hone in on mistakes, and people bring up mistakes that you made in the past, and then we keep it in our heads, and we don't push ourselves because we made a mistake. If you don't make mistakes, how are you going to learn? How are you going to press forward? And if somebody keeps dredging up mistakes in your lives, they need to move on, right? They need to go to another room somewhere because we're going to make mistakes. Life is about mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. We don't live. The only person that's perfect is God, and the only person that's perfect or can be perfect is Jesus. We are not perfect. We can try to excel to perfection, but we're not. So if you have in your mind that you have to be perfect all the time, don't do that. And I'm reminded of that myself. Dr. T, just do it. I'm not Nike, but just move with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The same thing with Coffee with Dr. T. It came to my mind. I didn't know how this was going to be. I didn't know who was going to be on or listening, but I'm doing it. It's not perfect, right? I just saw a mistake. And what am I doing? I'm moving on. I have to fix it. So it's okay. It's okay. We're talking real stuff, right? We're talking real stuff. And forgive and move forward. Because if we harness into, being here and being sedentary in our mistakes, you will never, ever move forward. That's what my pastor is preaching on, moving forward. So trust the powers that be. Trust the powers that be. Y'all ready for this one? Trust the powers that be. So this actually should be number 6. Trust the powers that be. And it's funny because I just got a reminder how it just says, trust the powers that be. And today is the heavenly birthday of, it just literally just came on the text, trust the power, literally. Heavenly birthday for my uncle Freddie and my aunt Freddie, two people that were dear in my life. My uncle Freddie, first African American kosher baker in New York City. Um, awesome, amazing cook. He should have been a chef. But trust the power. Literally, I got goosebumps, y'all. Literally, it just came up on here that it's their birthday today. And so that's encouraging to know that my heavenly aunt and uncle are probably saying, keep doing what you're doing. Because I was just talking about being fearful of coming on, right? Um, and this is my little quirky mind working. So trust the powers that be. Trust the powers that be. So happy birthday, heavenly birthday to my aunt and my uncle who always encouraged me and always believed in me. Yep. Yep. That's amazing. That just popped up. Whew. All right. Then the next one, as we're talking about being courageous, right? Being courageous is embrace vulnerability. We are simply human and trying our might to be the best that we can be. That we are trying to be the best that we can be. And just having that courage again, we talked about just owning up to mistakes, being okay to not being perfect, being okay with what's going on in your life. And I'm going to put that back up. Embrace the vulnerability, embrace being vulnerable. We are simply human, trying our might to be our best versions of ourselves. We're just trying our best to be a version of ourselves. And what's that other thing? WWW, what would Jesus do? We're also trying to be the best, in Jesus. Again, I don't push religion on people. That's just not me. However, I am grounded in that. And we are trying to be the best that we can be, putting on the full armor of God. Being courageous is just that, right? And we're going to make mistakes, as I talked about before. You need to know who's going to be in your tribe, right? If you like what I'm hearing, talk to me, talk to me. Let me know what you think about what I'm talking about, right? Let me know. Say good morning, say what's up, all right? So then we have take heart. Take heart. So courage comes from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. Cultivate love and you will lead a brave life. Okay, I know one thing my daughter always says, Mom, you smile too much. You can't be happy all the time. No, I'm not happy all the time. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not happy all the time. However, take heart. Have some joy in your heart. Be brave internally, right? Be brave internally because that is important. Take heart. And then when you take heart, you're also going inward. You're going inward and reevaluating your inner self. That's what's happening when you're taking heart. You're going inward and you're reevaluating your inner self. All right? And that is it. So take heart and know that it's okay to be fearful, but I want you to chip away at it. And I am going to leave you with um, that. Hold on. Let me go to that slide. I'm going to leave you with that slide. That courage is the most, I'm going to backtrack and say that once you take heart, right? Once you take heart, put the slide up for a sec. Once you take heart and you look inward and you've done all the steps that I just sort of tips that I just put up there. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. And I'm going to leave it right there. So, good morning. I hope this has put something inside of you today to chip away at some of the fears that you have, chip away at this negativity that's going on in our environment, chip away at some of the things that might be stopping you from doing the things that you want to do in life. Go up above and you will see a checklist. It's free. Just go on and click in there. Also, go up above and there's a mindset also in there. It's a quick little class for you. And again, Saturdays, Coffee with Dr. T. It's just meant to encourage you, just to help you move past your week, especially if you've had a hard week, and to remember that it's okay that we are in a hard and heavy time. I know this week I had to set back and process and take a break also. Like I said, sometimes you just got to do that, you know? um, and just to know that if you share this with somebody, go to Sustain Your Biz to win if you're an entrepreneur and you want to learn more about sustainable business tips. And like that page. Today is the day that I was hoping for 100 likes of the page, but we got close. So if you know anybody that's an entrepreneur, help them to go over there to Sustain to Win, um, and go into the academy and see what we have in there for you. Um, and once I get off here, you know what I'm getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to call my friend. She's in New York. She's not on Facebook. We got to get her on Facebook, you guys. I got to figure out how to get her on one of these days so that you can know who I'm talking about. We've been friends for ever and ever. And so that's what I want to leave with you today. Um, as we move into November, and we're going to turn up a little bit because November is my birthday month. So I am going to try and put some things together that we can still have the conversation of being courageous because we're close to ending. Close to ending a new year, and going into a new year. And um, this year has some major challenges, right? So I want to read again, back to um, about courage, you know, be courageous and just keep it moving, keep it moving. That's what my uncle used to say. Remember, I just told you about him. That's what my uncle always said, you know, be encouraged to keep it moving, right? So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. The Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that word. I'm going to leave you with that, and just continue to chip away at some of the fears. Take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. You know why I did that? Because sometimes we do forget to breathe. And I realized that there's another friend of mine that reminded me of that. Sometimes you have to stop and breathe. Because sometimes you don't really think about that because it's one of the senses, right? We're always breathing, right? We're always smelling. But take a time to just breathe today. Take a moment. And it doesn't have to be that long, right? So I gave you the tips. Look at that over. Save the video into your feed. It might be something that you want to go back to. And I may even put this in the academy, just for something that people can understand that is an important way of moving past negative things and just be encouraged, and be encouraged today that this too shall pass. And whatever you're going through right now, this too shall pass, And there's just so much going on. I know that violence is going up. Um, women and battery and domestic violence is going up. Mental illness issues are going up. We're just in an environment right now that is just not good. But how can I help you through that? How can we help you through that? So if you're watching this toward the end, go back and do the replay. Put hashtag replay for me. And I just encourage you today, because I know I was encouraged this week, pulling out to my tribe. And maybe next week that's what we'll talk about, is what would be the makeup of your tribe. We'll talk about that next week. The makeup of your tribe. All right. I'll see you guys. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.